kind of resonate. I think of like celestial coordinates or something, you know. That's the beautiful thing about hymns, I think, in general. But that's another topic. So there was all this 19th century kind of romance wrapped up in building this boat, and first building the boat and then learning how to use it, and then thinking about what might be feasible or not. And because of this northwesterly breeze, my old friend, the only way to go from here is south. And of course south is Mexico. And Mexico also has Baja, beautiful surfing. So I loaded up 2 surfboards, and I put those upside down in padded surfboard bags on the port side here, stuffed right up against this partner beam. And they sort of live here, and then gear just wherever. You end up having to move your stuff around and make space to live. And of course you bring a friend, and you're stepping over each other, and after about 4 days are you really in my space again? No, I'm just kidding. But sometimes there's a grain of truth there. I'll end it up here. I've gone on a lot of trips. I've taken this boat to the Channel Islands, from Gaviota, from far north of Santa Barbara, and there's some kind of line here, and I think I've crossed it, and I've just gotten lucky. I recognize that. I've just gotten lucky. And the line I'm referring to is where foolhardy has consequences. Ocean consequences. Alone, 15 miles from shore, heavy winds, small boat, cold water. You can see it doesn't take much for that scenario to go very, very wrong. Clearly it hasn't. Here I am. I hope I'm not bragging about it. I smashed this boat up. Well, I didn't. This boat got smashed up pretty badly. About 400 miles down the coast on my big Baja sail. The scenario was, I was anchored in one of these beautiful desert coves that happens to coincide with a nice point along which the waves break, and for really good surfing. It's a remote place, but a lot of surfers from around here will go down there and they'll take their 4x4s and get across the desert and camp out and surf. And I met some of those guys, and you thought the fishermen thought I was crazy. You know, like, you came in that? What? We've driven 2 days to get here, 3 days to get here. I love that. But and there's nothing like, it's kind of like instant friendship too. You have this shared background of surfing, and the shared, wherever you come from in California or the lower 48 or Alaska for that matter. So it's always just, clearly a conversation piece. So there I was at this place called Cuchillo, which you may or may not know of. And I had been anchored there at Cuchillo for about 4 days or so, enjoying these great little sliding waves, little point waves, clean surf, a lot of fun, fishing for little surf perch in the lineup, walking the beach, and walking out in the desert, enjoying land. Nothing like being on the sea in a small boat for many days to really make you love Earth. We are terrestrial. Tourette's. Earth is good, but so is the ocean. So anyway, there I was, and the 4th or 5th day, the swell started getting a little heavy, so I moved off from the point, and the coastline in Central Baja is characterized by headlands, and then long stretches of bays, another headland, another bay, and on you go. And up against the point, obviously, when the surf gets a little bit bigger, that's where the wave activity is most intense. So under oars, I moved off to the middle of the bay and spent the night, and ran out a lot of anchor lines so that the boat could just pull to the swells. It was a miserable night nonetheless, because it was a storm swell. There was a storm approaching, southwest wind, as opposed to that northwesterly breeze that kind of sweeps you down the coast. that southwesterly breeze into a stretch of coastline with headlands and coves is right onto the shore, so it chops up the water and kind of puts this reverb, so to speak, off the headlands. The water's in a bad mood. The water's unsettled, and it's unpleasant. And so I spent a miserable night not sleeping in the boat tent, and woke up in the morning and sort of, put my head out of the tent and saw, oh God, this is not looking good. That's charcoal skies on the horizon and lots of wind, and if you look at the beach, it's just like a, sort of D-Day of breaking surf kind of running ashore. And so then the question is, all right, well, staying out here is clearly not comfortable, but then to go in, you got to run that gauntlet of surf. At the very least, I thought, there's the fishermen on the beach, they'll see me, and I'm gonna get into shore because that charcoal colored sky along the horizon is all the warning I need, and also that southwest wind is promising rain in a proper storm. And oh, this is January or February. So I put the mast down, secure everything. I'm ready for the worst. You have to work your way back from the worst case scenario, right? And the worst case scenario, of course, is getting tumbled in the surf. And so you don't want your gear, because everything you bring, hopefully, is what you need, and also what you can't do without. So you don't want to lose a bag or anything. So there I go, under oars. I go ashore. Sure enough, the fishermen see that I want to come ashore. And 2 or 3 of them, I see them run across the bluff of the beach, and they're signaling, okay, we're communicating. All right, wait. And then they see, so they're able to read it a little bit better than I am, being in the middle, trying to kind of see when I'm going to make my run for shore. Anyway, they're like, Orale, come on now, it's time, making the hand gestures. And so I sprint for shore. I land well enough. Maybe sideways in the surf. That's another thing about this boat. Here's the centerboard. When you have the centerboard out and the rudder out as well, the boat can go sideways in the whitewater, and it doesn't tumble. It just kind of sluices. It's the funniest thing. It goes sideways, which isn't ideal, but it doesn't go over, which is, I'll take sideways. And I wash up on shore. The fishermen help me. They come right down, wading into the water up to their thighs. Heave ho, we go. Get the boat up the beach, and it's nestled in between their pongas. Now, I mentioned this charcoal sky. This storm is impending. You can feel it coming. So I grab my dry bags and make a run up into the desert, about 200 yards up the beach. And or back from the beach, I should say, and behind a broken down pickup truck, because the southwesterly winds come in, and I'm like, there's this open desert, and I want shelter, right? So behind the broken down pickup is something of a windbreak, a little something. Use what you can. I make 3 or 4 trips, and I get all my gear up there. I get my water up there. I get the tent set up. I get my gear in the tent. Just as I get my sleeping bag in the tent and leave my surfboards down here, but use the padded surfboard bag as a bed, and I get that, and I get my sleeping bag rolled up, and I get into the tent, and I'm just about to get the stove set up for a well-deserved cup of coffee. The rain comes pouring down, and it was a wonderful feeling. My boat's on the beach, my tent is up, my gear is dry, I'm safe, everything's good. So I spend actually a very enjoyable 2 days reading, drinking too much coffee, going over and talking with my fisherman friends, and then on the morning of the 3rd day, it's funny. I guess what I'm getting at is I'm sure if those of you who have children know this. I experienced this with my dog. I've got a very close, probably unhealthy relationship with my dog. But I know when he needs something. It'll be 2 in the morning, and he, ate something that he shouldn't have eaten, some excrement or, something else horrible. And I know he needs to go out, and my eyes open. I go and let him out. He does what he has to do, and then, on we go. So it is with my boat and the situation. It's situational awareness, we used to say in the United States Navy. That's a whole nother story. Honorable discharge, I will say that. There were some shenanigans. So there I am in my tent, and it's the 3rd morning. And like I said, I put the rain gear on. I walked over, ¿Qué pasó? Talked to the guys. That's actually talk about a whole nother story. The fishermen on this trip, on this particular Baja trip, gave me faith, I suppose. I mean, am I gonna bust out the violin? They were wonderful to me. I needed help, and they helped me. And it's the most elemental thing, that you can experience. And I suppose that's what drove this whole trip. What's more elemental than, sweat on your brow and oars, or using the wind and being on the water? I also think of it as full immersion. You sort of like cast yourself upon truly their shores, where they live and make their livelihood. And to be received the way I was is really humbling, and I think has been the most rewarding aspect of these journeys. So back to the storm and the tent. 3rd morning. I didn't have my dog Rio yet, but I had Cormorant, and I guess Cormorant was my dog. I woke up in the morning. My eyes open, and I just thought, I've got to check what's going on. This was a proper storm. This is 3 days later, and it's been raining. And the 3rd day, I wake up, and I'm like, I woke up in the morning, and I knew I had to go check on that boat. I just had to check on it. Well, I threw on a rain slicker, and I got up and kind of came up over the berm just as 2 of the fishermen are running across the beach. And I'm like, and that kind of made me jog, a little heartbeat action. And what's happening? Storm surge. The ocean was supposed to be 20 feet that way, but it was actually 20 feet that way. And picking up the pongas and poor Cormorant between them and washing them down the beach. And this savage, ugly, kaboom, shore pound stuff going on. And the boats, roller derby, smash up, crash up, smash, and you can hear, and I'm like, oh no. I run down there, and the fishermen, we grab my boat and kind of pull it up out of the way, and they bring their truck, and we haul the boats up out of the way. Anyway, long story long, this port side is all smashed in, 2 planks just busted, like air, whole, like not going out to sea anymore. Mind you, I'm 50 miles across the desert from Baja Highway 1, and some 400 miles down the coast. In the cosmic sort of way of things, I brought resin that I thought would be for surfboard dings, and a little bit of fiberglass cloth, and a little bit of powder thickener for the resin, and some drywall screws, and you see where the story's going, this, that, and the other. 4 days later, so now I've been there like 8 or 10 days, but what's time when you're sailing this boat down Baja? I had just enough resin to fix the boat. And fix the boat I did. Enough to continue on the journey. It wasn't pretty, but the job was done. And the day started out fine. It was my old friend, that northwesterly, and the sails are up like they are now, and I'm running down the coast. Oh, and sometimes, I just want to tell you this, sometimes this can be the most fun. That tiller arm, this is a universal joint right here.